Decision-making under Virginia tiered systems of supports requires the voices, ideas, and perspectives of family members. This video will share practical strategies for recruiting family members, running meetings, and sustaining the commitment of family members. You'll hear tips and ideas from educators and family members who work together on the VTSS team in Amherst County. A key aspect of this presentation is carefully scripted examples of best practices for working well with family members on VTSS teams.
Thank you everyone for coming to our monthly Virginia Tiered Systems of Supports meeting here at Virginia Elementary School. I know everyone's busy. It's 9 a.m., so let's get started. I'm Ms. West, the school lead for VTSS and the school counselor.
In the meeting, 2 family members take part along with several educators. In practice, recruiting family members for VTSS teams means seeking people who are interested in positive changes in your school or division. That's a natural fit with the Virginia Tiered Systems of Supports. Authentic family engagement requires commitments in 6 component areas. It also requires a commitment to transparency about data and other information used to improve education at the school and division levels.
Sharing information, sharing data with families about how the school division is doing in whatever area that might be, whether it's academic, attendance, behavior, any of those things we want to share with our families, because I think that data helps with trust. It keeps us transparent.
When it comes to recruiting family members for the VTSS team, making sure that we're not only looking at, the race and gender of the family members compared with the students, but also, the age of the students of that family member, the experience or inexperience that they've had with the school system.
I think families want to participate because they care about their child, they care about their community, they care about what their schools are doing, and they just want to have a say and a voice in what's going on.
It's a partnership between parent and educators. So my involvement is important for the success of my child.
We're here to make our school better, and it's going to take diverse ideas and different thinking in order for that to grow, because as a leadership team, you don't want to be surrounded by people who think the same way as you.
Thank you everyone. Ms. Martin and Mr. Stein are essential members of this team. You bring a perspective that is different from ours. Our team has a set of rules and expectations for all of us to follow. The norms help to keep us on track and ensure that we accomplish our goals while respecting the confidentiality of our teachers, students, and families. Last month, we discussed a survey of our teachers. We agreed it's important that our teachers have consistent expectations for student behavior and use a consistent set of practices to achieve them.
I still have mixed feelings about that. Teachers all have different personalities, and they all have different management styles. What's wrong with simply letting the teachers be themselves?
I'm also trying to reinforce certain things at home, and my kids seem to be really confused as well.
Mr. Stein, it's true. Teachers have different personalities and management styles. And Ms. Martin, you're right. Everyone benefits when classroom behavior expectations and strategies are consistent for everyone. We can do both. With consistent goals for behavior, each teacher can use their unique strengths and personalities to make those happen.
Sometimes family members have a different perspective than what we have in the school setting for a variety of reasons. And so being willing to listen, being willing to take whatever information they're giving us, whether it's feedback or just a different opinion than what we're used to, and communicating that it has been heard through active listening, through repeating back what we've heard.
I agree. Is it okay with the group if we take a look at your TFI action plan so we're all on the same page about adding this time to our agenda at our next work day?
I'm sorry, I'm not really sure I understand what TFI is. I'm really new to this, and I've never heard that term before. Could you explain a little further?
Thanks for speaking up. The TFI is the Tiered Fidelity Inventory. It's critical.
As educators, we have education lingo. Talking about like reading levels of kids and this and that, but just keep it simple in the terms of if you were a parent and you weren't in school, what would make sense to you?
We need to discuss our plans to recognize students as part of our Tiered Fidelity Inventory Action Plan. Last year, we surveyed students in all grades about how they would like to be acknowledged. The answers varied from getting a homework pass to a Nintendo Switch.
Well, I've heard of schools where students are recognized on social media. That would be easy enough to implement that type of program. I just need to buy certificates and take pictures of the students.
Don't forget that we have a box of fidgets that we can use to give out as part of our acknowledgement system.
Miss Martin, you look like you want to say something.
Fostering the connection for families at the team is important, and we need to make sure that when we're going around giving out ideas that we're not talking over them, and that sometimes they may be sitting back listening to the educators who are in the classroom, and they might be holding in their feedback because they're not really sure. So sometimes we have to ask them, like, what do you think, and what do you think parents will feel?
I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only person who's not a fan of putting my child's name or photo on social media. How about we let the family members know prior to and before we recognize their students and ask if it's okay if they're on social media?
That's a good point, Ms. Martin. Mr. Stein, what do you think?
Personally, I think would be absolutely fine. But I also know a number of families who have children who've experienced some troubling things. And for safety reasons, I don't think that they would want to have their children's faces out there on the web for everybody to see.
I just remember one of my students, Zoe, say that her
Miss
best
Rada?
friend.
Miss Rada?
We make sure that our meetings stay on topic so that we're not talking about community gossip. We have agendas that are set, and we try and stick to those agendas and stay on task. So that's part of our norms in our VTSS meetings.
I apologize. We need to be sure not to discuss individual students or their family. Sorry.
Ms. Martin, if you'd be willing to, I would be willing to go talk to different families before our next meeting and get some informal feedback from them about what we're talking about.
I would be willing to do that.
And if there's interest among families, we can talk with Ms. Consuelo, our school social worker, about facilitating a conversation with parents and staff in our next VES coffee chat.
Once we have a family member on a team, we really want them to be engaged and stay a part of that team for a long time, that they can see their ideas implemented and see the progress, and when we go back and review the data, they could see that the data has changed because of their ideas. That's really important, and I think it's really motivational for them.
It's really important when we think about engaging families and parents to sustain their efforts, and we can do that by incentivizing, giving them feedback, communicating to them their value and how their voice has been used and heard.
I do feel like my perspective has been brought in to say, well, have you thought about this or have you thought about this, to offer more support, and they've been really open to that.
Thank you for all the great ideas. This was very productive. To review our commitments, Ms. Martin will get in.
I'm a firm believer that talk is cheap, and to me that's the most important piece of this VTSS process. When you're talking with parents and they're making suggestions, well, actually put forth the effort to make those changes, and then I think that's going to even encourage more conversation and dialogue through moving the school forward through that process.